Oh, wow.
Today we're looking at glitch in the matrix TikToks that will break your reality. Thank you to all the channel members for support. I saw that you guys liked my last glitch in the matrix TikToks, so this is another one. Let's try to get to another 2,000 likes this video. And it says 60% of you guys are not subscribed, so you might as well subscribe because we're going to be looking at a lot of cool stuff on this channel. So join the 52K people that are subscribed and subscribe. Let's go!
Everybody listen up, you need to get in your seats right now. Hey, you kids, step forward, please. Facing forward, thank you. That's what I like. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Everybody hang on! Oh, is everybody okay? Kids! Kids!
Slow down. Okay. Slow down. Okay. I know you didn't get to action, you just told me that. Okay, the kids are gone. They're gone. Okay. I don't know where they went. How many kids total? 45, 50. 45. Stand right there. Stand right there. Do it now.
So this guy's claiming that all the kids on his bus, like 45, 50 kids, he says, vanished. He's nuts. Or he's going to prison.
Dude, I'm hoping that was just like a glitch or a trick video because like, that's crazy. I feel like if it was a real video, we probably would have heard it on the news already. If anyone knows more about that video, let me know down in the comments because that one was a little bit strange.
What is the creepiest glitch in the Matrix you've experienced? It happened in early 2000 when I was working at a juvenile detention center in a small town in Oklahoma as a corrections officer. I was working nights at the time and went to work at 9 p.m. This one night when I arrived for work, my supervisor looked confused and asked me what I was doing there. I said I work tonight. And he said, but they said you called in a few hours ago saying that you were sick. I was a bit confused and said it must have been someone else and they got the message wrong. After everyone else showed up for work that night, it was a bit more weird, but we carried on as usual and assigned everyone their places for the night. I went to work in the control room where I usually work. The control room is the center of the prison that has direct control over the cameras, doors, phones, and everything. After I relieved the guard on duty and settled in for the night, I looked at the message that said I called in. It said that I had called at 6:50 and said that I had gotten sick while out cleaning up after the storm. There had been a storm the night before, and it was a bit bad, but not anything that I wanted to go out to clean up. It was truly weird. The supervisor came into the control about that time. He was also a friend of mine outside work, and we started talking about it and how odd it was. I decided to call my wife at home and tell her about it while he was still sitting there. I picked up the phone and dialed. After 2 rings, a man picked up the phone and with a raspy voice said hello. I did not know what to say for a few seconds. I looked at the phone to make sure I dialed the right number, and I had. After a few seconds, the person said hello, again in the same raspy voice. I said hello. Who is this? This is Taylor. Who is this? The person said. My head started spinning because my name is Taylor also. I said in almost a scream, where is Ann? He said Ann's in bed. Who is this? I dropped the phone and told my supervisor to ring me out. I had to get home, and I took off towards the door.
On January 2014, P.2 Syndicate captured a very strange phenomenon in the middle of a frozen pond somewhere in Europe. He was walking his dog and it was a very cold day, and he spotted this bizarre water hole in the middle of a frozen pond, and inside of it, well, this is what he captured on camera. Check this out.
What the fuck?
This right here is the most important post you will see today. This is literally life or death. It says, we're so close to longevity escape velocity that I urge you to remember that your only sole responsibility right now is to avoid dying from something stupid. So let's explain this. Longevity escape velocity is a concept where scientific advances extend human life faster than the speed of aging. And they're saying this is going to happen within 10 to 20 years. So this post is saying avoid stupid, risky decisions with your life, because if you just hold on for 10 more years, the lifespan and the health advances that we will make will far outweigh aging even. I can't even describe to you how turned off I am from doing risky activities. I used to be climbing everything on roofs, jumping off cliffs, all this stuff. And that's not to say don't have fun, but dying from something stupid right now would be, the worst. It is the worst time to die right now because we're on the cusp of this longevity escape velocity. And now it makes more sense when you look at Brian Johnson, the guy who's trying to live forever, and his movement Don't Die. It makes sense why that guy is so obsessed with don't die. Like his movement is please do not die. Do whatever you can to not die. Because on the other side of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, this whole landscape is going to look different, right? It will all look different.
Okay, I mean, he's not lying. Like, we're probably really close to actually figuring out how to extend life. But at the same time, I don't feel like a lot of people would get the treatment or whatever you'd have to get to extend your life. Because think about CV. Like, we had to get vaccinated, and a lot of people didn't even want to do all that. So, like, they're just like, hey, if you take this injection shot, your life expectancy will go from 70 years old to 150. People are going to be like, I'm not taking that. Let me know if you would do the treatment for a longevity life, I guess you could say.
I think I died last night. I don't know where else to post this, but I have to get it off my mind. I know I'm going to sound crazy, but here it goes. I was driving home on some country roads in my hometown to the highway so I could get home. I was visiting an old friend. I haven't driven those roads in years, so it was a little different than I remember, and it was dark, so I was having trouble seeing. There is a bend that follows the river right by the highway, and I kind of forgot about it. I went flying around the curve and I almost went completely off the road as I made the turn. I completely stopped the vehicle because it scared the ish out of me. Next thing I know, I'm on the main highway going 70 miles per hour, only about 20 minutes from home. It was an hour drive. Somehow I lost about 40 minutes. And the last thing I remember before that was almost driving into the river. I have no recollection of getting on the highway or driving up to that point. I feel really weird this morning. I woke up at exactly 3:33 a.m. and have been up since. My girlfriend is home, and she was not when I got home around 10 last night. She says she's been home since 8 last night. It's cloudy and raining this morning, and I was fairly certain it was supposed to be sunny today. I feel like I woke up in a different life or something. I am genuinely weirded out, and again, I know I sound crazy, but I'm not even sure if I'm alive.
There's no T in Skechers.
Wait, what did he just say?
There's no T in Skechers.
I always remember there being a T in Skechers. Skechers, like, it's in there. I was 10 years old. I specifically got this pair of Skechers to wear to Disneyland for comfort. And I remember there being a T. Like, I remember the T. Look, there's videos of people spelling Skechers with the T all over the place. Here's another one, Skechers with the T. Even this one, it has a T in it. I found this old Reddit forum from 8 years ago, and people are just kind of like, what the hell's going on? Because they always remember the T being there. It was always Skechers with the T to me. I can't remember it not having a T in it. Wait, is it not Skechers with the T? We're definitely gonna find like an old commercial with the T and Skechers.
Skechers. It's the S.
Okay, maybe there never was a T, because this looks familiar, but the more I look at it, the more unfamiliar it looks.
Never will be.
What you talking about, fool? Mr. T's always in Skechers.
Look at how they troll us like this. Look at how they do this, just like Fruit of the Loom. You guys are trolls. Everybody deserves free Skechers. Everybody gets a free pair of Skechers just because you guys did this whole thing with this.
In 2012, someone went on Reddit and asked people to share their personal glitch in the Matrix stories. A glitch in the Matrix story is any story where something totally unusual happens that doesn't have a logical explanation. So these are true stories, or at least purported to be true. They're first-hand accounts, and they're very popular on Reddit. And so this particular query on Reddit got very popular. It went totally viral. And so there were thousands and thousands of stories commented down below. So lots of people gave their Glitch in the Matrix story. Now, the top comments, so the top stories that were given, were really, really interesting. But by far, the best response, the best Glitch in the Matrix story, got no attention at all. It was buried at the bottom of 14,000 plus comments. This story, which was written by a person who just went by Sarah X11, should have gone completely viral. It should have been the top comment by far. But for whatever reason, it wasn't. And so now, 10 years later, no one really knows about it. While we don't know for sure if Sarah X11's story is true, as it is just an unverified first-hand account, what we do know is that this was the first story that Sarah X11 had ever posted to Reddit about glitches in the Matrix. The majority of her Reddit activity consisted of liking cute pictures of cats and dogs. So this person, this user, was not on Reddit for clout. Also, when Sarah X11 posted her story in this Reddit thread, there were already thousands and thousands of comments posted. So if they were trying to get recognized through this story, they chose the worst post to do it on. If you want to get recognized in a comment section and be a top comment, typically you have to be one of the very first comments after this thing gets posted. And so she's posting after thousands and thousands of people have done this. So in my mind, it seems like this post by Sarah X11, this story, has got to be true. And even if it isn't true, it's one of the coolest stories I've come across on the internet that is guaranteed to give you goosebumps. Okay, here we go. In 2006, a 20-year-old woman named Sarah started having some very strange dreams about a woman named Aurora. She had a very striking face with sharp features and long black hair. Now, her dreams varied. Sometimes Sarah was in a crowd of people, or she was at her office, or she was just alone in a room. But in all of her dreams, Aurora would always show up. Either she would interact with Aurora and they would speak, but Sarah could never remember what they actually spoke about, or Aurora would just be in the crowd or in the background just watching Sarah. Now, she had these dreams enough that eventually Sarah began to think, I must know someone named Aurora. I must have come across this person, and now they're just kind of manifesting in my brain at night when I'm sleeping. And so she began going through her older posts on social media to look in pictures of her and of her friends to see if there was a woman with striking features and long black hair that was this Aurora person in her dream. But after looking through hundreds and hundreds of pictures, she couldn't find any indication that she had met this person, at least not according to her social media. And so Sarah began just going on Google and typing in Aurora, long black hair, striking features. Has anybody dreamed about this? To see if there were people talking about having this type of dream on the internet. But she had no luck. Eventually, after about 3 or 4 months of having these strange dreams that Aurora was in, Aurora stopped showing up in Sarah's dreams. It was like it suddenly was all over. And so very quickly, Sarah just kind of forgot about it. A few years later, on Halloween night 2009, Sarah and a friend pulled off the highway into a gas station. They had been out with some friends celebrating Halloween, and now they were making their way back home. Sarah pulled into an empty spot right in front of the convenience store, and after they were parked, Sarah and her friend got out, they went inside, they got some snacks and drinks, and then they came back outside and climbed back into Sarah's car. A few moments later, Sarah had turned her car on, she had backed out, and she had driven past all of the gas station pumps, and she was making her way towards the single-lane strip of road that merged out onto the highway. It was how anybody who got into this gas station got back out onto the highway. And so as she's getting closer to the entrance of this short merge road, her phone suddenly rings. What happens next occurred over a span of just a few seconds, so it might seem like this is over several minutes, but this all happened pretty much simultaneously. So she's pulling up to the entrance of this merge road, her cell phone rings, and because there was no one behind her, it was not a busy night, Sarah decides to just stop her car, put it in park so she can safely take this phone call. And so she stops her car pretty much right in front of the entrance to this merge road, and she picks up her phone, she looks at the number, and she doesn't recognize it, but she picks it up anyways, and she says, hello. There was silence on her phone, and as Sarah is saying, hello, is anybody there? another car from the gas station pulls up right behind Sarah's car, and they start honking their horn immediately. They're in a huge rush. And so Sarah, who's totally embarrassed that she's blocking traffic, she hangs up the phone, she puts it down, she puts her car back in drive, and she hits the gas. But this driver behind her is apparently in such a rush, they're so impatient, that they actually swerved around her, driving on the dirt off to the side of the road just to get around her, and then they sped off down the merge road back onto the highway. And literally, seconds later, another car that was already on the highway, a silver Honda Civic, lost control and smashed into this car that had just passed Sarah's car. So there's this huge car accident literally right in front of Sarah and her friend, who have now stopped the car. They're right at the end of the merge road looking at this horrible accident that they narrowly escaped. Sarah put her car back in park, she picked up her phone, and she called the police. When the police showed up a few moments later, they took down Sarah and her friend's version of events, and then a little while later, after the ambulances had left and after the two cars had been pulled off of the highway, one of the police officers pulled Sarah aside and told her that the driver of the Honda Civic and the driver of the car that had swerved around her had both been killed in the accident. Shocked, the only thing Sarah could think to do was to call back that number she didn't recognize that had effectively stopped her from getting onto the highway and maybe even stopped her from being hit by that Honda Civic. And so she wanted to talk to this person and thank them for saving her life. But when she called the number back, the person did not pick up. However, it went to her voicemail, and it said, "Hi, you've reached Aurora. Leave your name and number after the beep." Sarah could not believe it. She said she had never felt goosebumps like that in her entire life. The next day, Sarah tried calling the number again, and this time the woman, Aurora, answered the phone. The two got to talking, and Sarah explained her crazy dreams and now this crazy car crash thing and how it's all connected. And Aurora would tell Sarah, like, "That's amazing. This is a crazy story you're telling me, except I didn't call you last night. I have no idea how you got my phone number." And so at the end of this phone call, the two women really had not reached any sort of explanation for how this came to be, how they came to be talking. But they ultimately just said, "Okay, hey, thanks and best of luck to you." And then they hung up. After the call was over, Sarah found herself just kind of sitting there, not really sure how to react to what had just happened. It was such a totally bizarre thing that she had just been through over the past 24 hours. And then if you include the dream, this has been a multi-year-long thing. And so on a whim, Sarah just opens up her Facebook account and she plugs in Aurora's full name, because Aurora had given her her full name on this phone call they had just had. And when she looked at her phone, when the results came in, Sarah nearly fainted. Right at the top of the results page was this woman, Aurora's Facebook account, and her profile picture showed her face. And when Sarah looked at her face, it was the exact same face she had seen so many times in her dreams. It was the same Aurora with the striking features and long black hair. The woman in her dreams was the woman who called her and saved her life.
Dude, that is so trippy. Yo, shout out to Mr. Ballin. If you guys have never watched Mr. Ballin's video, make sure to check out his channel. Literally just type in Mr. Ballin. Amazing videos. I like him.
What's going on with Katy Perry? Why is she glitching? Wait for it.
Make even more noise for my band.
This is how you've become trapped and controlled by the Matrix. Life is literally a dream. This is an illusion. Right? You're not in the universe. Rather, it's the relationship between your mind and body that create the universe you experience. Now think about this. You can be born in America or a third world country. You can never leave your house, spend your entire life traveling, or spend your whole life in prison. You could have been born 30 minutes or 30,000 years ago. My point is that you're only aware of what you've experienced from the time you were born until now. Because of the wide range of human experiences that have happened all over time, nobody can concretely say they've personally experienced everything. You don't know what life is like. You know what your life is like. You don't know what the world is like. You know what your experience of the world is like. We are the same energy experiencing itself subjectively through different perspectives. And all of these individual perspectives come together to create the dream of the planet. collective consciousness, society, the matrix. And you become programmed and trapped in this matrix through domestication. As a child, you were either rewarded or punished for adopting a certain belief or behavior. Every letter, every word, every label is just a concept made up by another human. It doesn't exist. It only feels real because you've made an agreement. Once I understand what you're saying and accept it into my mind, the energy of your perception transfers to me and it becomes an agreement. You didn't even get to agree to what your name was going to be. I spent the first 16 years of my life as a Christian. I didn't choose that. As a kid, I was forced to go to church. That's what I was told to believe. And so day by day, at home, school, church, television, music, you're constantly being told how to live and what behavior is and isn't acceptable. When you're rewarded, you feel good. This will cause you to play popular music you don't like because you love the validation of people telling you your playlist is fire. This will cause you to get that job working 50 hours a week that you fucking hate because your parents told you they're so proud of you. What you dress, what you watch, how you think, how you speak. The fear of rejection, punishment, and not being rewarded will cause you to pretend to be and eventually become somebody you're not, based on a belief you didn't even create yourself. If somebody calls you ugly, that is a seed of black magic that has been put into your mind. Now, if you feel bad and accept that opinion, you make the agreement that you're ugly. Now, when you look in the mirror, you don't feel beautiful. You start overanalyzing yourself, and then the narrator, the voice in your mind, you're ugly, you're fat, you need to lose weight, you're too skinny, you need to eat more. Now that voice in your head narrating your life becomes a parasite, constantly sucking the energy out of you and making you feel horrible because you allowed somebody else to domesticate you to their opinion. We have about 70,000 thoughts every day. 95% of these thoughts do not come from us. You have to go within yourself and dismantle your belief system and choose your morals, choose your values. There are 4 key agreements that if you stay consistent and commit to, will break all of the negative and self-limiting beliefs and agreements that you have within you. Domestication and agreement are just a couple of the concepts that you're going to need to understand and master yourself. I just finished these 2 books, along with the 4 agreements and a few others. Subscribe to my YouTube. Full detailed videos will be uploaded over the weekend.
Hi, welcome back to Glitch in the Matrix. This is part 6. This one is very lengthy, but it's called I Fell Off a Cliff and When I Was Rescued, My Entire Reality Was Different. In February 2020, I was snowmobiling for the first time. My boyfriend at the time was driving all day and finally let me drive at the end of the trip. We had been dating for 2 months and this was our first trip together. I'm going around the last bend and I accidentally floor the snowmobile instead of pushing the brake. I go flying off a cliff and end up 50 feet down. The snowmobile is on top of me, upside down, still running with the bottom part spinning. My helmet has flown off my head and is 1 inch from a tree. I am terrified. My boyfriend managed to roll off the back at the last minute and is trying to save me, but the snow is really deep and he's having a hard time getting down from the steep cliff. My legs are fully submerged in snow with the snowmobile on top of me and I'm not sure if I'm paralyzed. He calls for help and all these men run down to save me. When they finally pull me out, I can stand and it's the happiest moment of my life. I'm not paralyzed. I don't have as much as a scratch on me. Do I have a concussion? Maybe. It's hard to say. The snowmobile also miraculously has minimal damage, only the little plastic part is cracked. In hindsight, this moment is where everything changed for me, but you have to understand I didn't piece this together and come to this realization until months later. These are the differences. There was suddenly a pandemic. Everything was shut down within a few days. In my old timeline, there was a virus going around, but it had only impacted a few people and it was similar to a norovirus or flu, not big enough to be worried about. I had a different job. At the time, I chalked it up to the pandemic. We were on the trip because I was about to start a new job. I had signed the contract and I knew what the role entailed. I was going to start the Monday after, but after the crash, I couldn't get a hold of my new boss for 9 months and he finally told me I got the job in November, even though I had accepted in February. He also comments how I've never been into the office when he gave me a tour in January 2020 and we spent the day together. The role I'm in is completely different than the papers I signed. My loving, awesome boyfriend was physically abusive for the first time that night. He got blacked out and attacked me, choking me. He was crying the next day and nothing like this had ever happened before. I thought he was traumatized from the crash and let it go. That was another thing that was different. I would have never let that go before. I come from a very loving childhood where my dad was my best friend always. I would have never put up with that before the crash and was shocked I did. In the old timeline, I was on a low dose of Effexor, Xanax, and blood pressure medication. I don't take any medication at all in this timeline. Over the next year, a series of weird things that don't make any sense keep happening to the point I start to feel suspicious. I all of a sudden have an incurable disease I didn't have before. I'm in pictures I have no idea what the context is. I'm wearing clothes I don't own anymore. My friends have memories of me I don't share, and I'm getting more and more depressed. Boyfriend keeps physically abusing me and I can't get out of it. I have no will to save myself. I just keep thinking this can't be my life. This isn't my life. It just felt like I wasn't supposed to be here. And I finally look at Reddit and realize I died in the snowmobile crash, and this is an alternate timeline I'm in. I'm so sorry, I'm running out of time, but there's like so much more to this story. If you want me to do a part 2, just let me know.
Glitch in the Matrix.
Okay, wait right there, baby. Daddy's gonna be right back, okay? And this.
This video that was filmed at Disneyland has been going viral because there appears to be a glitch in the Matrix. Did you see that? The guy in the red shirt appeared out of nowhere.
Beyonce. Anything Beyonce related I usually enjoy. What's your favorite song by her? Is that like, that's like a impossible question, I think. It's Beyonce? Like, I'm gonna have to go with everything.
Okay, I'm confused about this backyard here. Like, this is supposed to be my backyard, right? And then when I go downstairs, I know it's not gonna be the same. What the fuck? I'm literally confused. I swear. I don't know. Like, where's all my cans?
Celebrities glitching at random times in front of people. Katy Perry glitching at her concert. Rolling her eyes in a creepy way. He is literally frozen. Wendy freezing up then fainting on live TV. Hillary Clinton shaking her head uncontrollably.
I'm pretty sure the Wendy Williams one, she was going through something. I'm pretty sure she was like about to pass, like having a seizure or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And the one that interested me the most was the Katy Perry one, because we seen that earlier, and I was wondering like, why did her eye, like one eye was just like paced down, and she had to like.
So we're back for episode 2 of We're Living in a Simulation. You know what else tells me that we're living in a simulation? These big, expensive car washes. You're telling me that for $5, you're gonna use 100 gallons of water, and so there's no one here except for me. I did pay my $5. There's a guy they're paying to fix their for $5. How many gallons of water are we using? Their electricity is on 24/7. I guess it shuts off at night. But what is this? Like a $3 to $5 million building. Water. Their water bill is probably more than my mortgage. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's not real. It's not real.
See if we can make this work.
You can see the batteries through the remote on the Oculus.
So we've got an Oculus, we got a remote.
Look through it.
Where's the remote? There's the remote.
You can see the batteries.
Oh wow, you can even read that they're Rule King batteries. Not making this up.
Clouds floating. Clouds. Where? That's a cloud. Look at this cloud. This is a cloud. This is a cloud. Drop over there.
Estaba haciendo mis rondines nocturnos cuando me di cuenta de esto. Luego, aro azul. ¿Quién no se supone que ya el azul era color de Frutilupis. Es el antiguo. Yo recuerdo que sí había azul, güey. ¿Qué pedo? ¿Efecto Mandela?
There's gotta be a reason for that, because that's always so trippy to me, because I literally seen it in one of our last videos, and literally the last glitch in the matrix video that we had. This one dude had a toilet paper, and I forgot what else he had, but you could see, like, it was covering the mirror, but yet you could still see past it. It was so weird.
According to AI, I need to build a pyramid to escape the simulation. I can't make this up. It's told me to find glitches, use ancient knowledge, and learn geometry. To interact with the source code like a hacker, pyramids and mandalas in specific proportions may resonate with the underlying code. Strange coincidence, we have a ton of those to study. The biggest mandala in the world, actually, is Borobudur. Its architecture is a harmonic pattern. To figure this out, someone has to know that sound makes shapes. If you're on a bowstring across a metal plate with sand, you can see these patterns. There's a math equation that lets you calculate those. If we make a 3D model of that in Blender or Houdini, we can simulate what any frequency looks like. Borobudur's architecture mirrors a frequency. This is not uncommon at all in the ancient world. Chichen Itza follows a similar frequency. How would we do that on something like a pyramid, though? Rick Draco can show you. It makes 3D models of vibration. Each layer is a pattern within the frequency. A very complex frequency assembled layer by layer may look something like Prambanan Temple. Hindu and Buddhist culture often use mandalas to represent chants, mantras, or frequencies. The fact that many ancient places share similar patterns to these mandalas may indicate that there is a resonance relationship there. No other place resonates with the source code better than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its geometry encodes the circumference of the Earth, the length of the year, the relationship between the Earth and the Moon, at least 4 universal constants, and the speed of light, and the angle needed to view a rainbow. Corner angle is the same angle a raindrop refracts light. If you use a perfect glass sphere to illustrate this, the Great Pyramid exactly fits the refraction dimensions. If we make the height of the pyramid 1 unit of any dimension, it sets up a harmonious relationship with a perfect sphere. Which is wild, because harmony, sound, and frequency is the next point AI made, citing 432 and 528 Hertz as measurements to look out for. The Great Pyramid is a reflection of Earth at that scale. The last 2 points are meditate to connect to the network. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's probably the Schumann network I talked about in that video. The alignments of these places may be access points to deeper layers. Rituals here may provide access points different from everyday locations. I'm sure we all know that the Great Pyramids are aligned to Orion, but the air shafts are also aligned to very significant celestial influences in the ancient world. So it appears like the temples are using the Earth as some sort of network, probably performing various functions. Using consciousness, we connect to this network, and then we use the ancient guidebook that was left for us to navigate harmoniously into that. At this point, I feel like AI just plagiarized my book.
This experiment is absolutely wild and may confirm that we're living in a simulation. It was performed by Thomas Young, and it's called the double split experiment. So basically, if you fire particles at a screen through a split, it will make this clumping pattern, okay? What if you add a second slit? You fire the particles, it makes 2 clumping patterns. Everybody with me? So if you perform this with a wave, this is what you would expect to see. The density would be in the middle and it would disperse outwards, but it would look similar to the clumping pattern with the most density being in the middle. So now let's do it with the 2 slits. When you do 2 slits, as the waves pass, they create their own waves, and the waves interfere with each other at different points. This is called an interference pattern, okay? Particles clump together, waves make an interference pattern. So now let's do it with electrons. As you fire it through, you'll see a similar clumping pattern. So as scientists performed it with 2 slits, they expected to see 2 clumping patterns, but they didn't. What they saw was this, the interference pattern. For years, the scientists thought, well, maybe these electrons would collide with each other, and that's what causes this interference pattern. So in the 60s, they modified the experiment where they would only shoot 1 electron at a time, and it still made the interference pattern. So they wanted to see what was causing this, and so they made an observer. They wanted to record what was happening, and here's what's crazy. With the observer there, the electrons would make 2 clumping patterns. They would behave the way that they were supposed to. Without the observer, the interference pattern.
But that's a different result to what we had earlier. So here's the last bit of sneakiness that we can play with atoms. Surely now, we're going to get to grips with it. Leave the detector there, but just very quietly go and unplug it. Don't let the atoms know that you're not spying on them. Run the experiment again.
They run it again with the observer unplugged, and it's the same interference pattern. Depending on whether the particles were being observed or not, impacted the way that they would act. Like, how would a particle be aware of this? So the experiment was updated to the delayed choice experiment. They would fire a photon, there would be no observer until the photon goes through the slits, then the observer would turn on. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. Once the observer was turned on, the photon would act like it had been observed the entire time. It would go back to doing a clumping pattern, switching from wave to particle.
Experiment showed is that even though the electrons started as waves but behaved like particles after being observed, at the moment the decision to observe them was made, the electrons recorded themselves as having passed through the slits as particles. The electrons changed their state by going back in time.
Do you understand what that is saying? They changed their state by going back in time. The scientific definition of that, by the way, is called retrocausality. So if photons from a star came to Earth, let's say that star is 100 million years away, those photons went through a double slit, they would make the wave interference pattern, unless they were being observed. If it was observed, it would make the clumping pattern. Even though for 100 million years it existed as a wave pattern, once you observed it, it, through retrocausality, goes 100 million years in the past and acts like a particle. This is similar to how rendering works in a video game. A video game engine only renders what you perceive. It's not going to render all of the detail inside of this building until you are there inside the building. It is constantly rendering things as your perception changes. The reason why it does this is so it can save on compute power, but you have the illusion of a complete and total map. The double slit experiment suggests that the same thing may be happening with us. Things only get rendered if you're observing them. So everybody's heard the saying, if a tree falls in the woods but no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? Well, according to the double slit experiment, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to observe it, does it even exist? Did it even do anything? Pretty trippy, right?
Dude, that's actually insane. I've actually heard about the double split experiment a lot of times, but I never really in-depthly looked into it. And if that's really what happens, it goes back in time to change its state because someone is observing it, that is actually crazy.
What is the creepiest glitch in the Matrix you've experienced? 1. A few months before my first car accident, I had a dream about it happening. Everything, from the sounds to the placement and the smell, was the same. The strange part was that the girl driving had tried to get me to find a different ride because she didn't want to do any extra driving that day. After the crash, I told her about my dream, and she said she had the same one the night before, which is why she didn't want to drive. Freaky, right? 2. I was going down the stairs when I passed my brother, who was coming up. I said hi, and he sort of mumbled back. When I got downstairs and walked into the kitchen, I found him standing there. What the hell? 3. I swear to God, my mom told me my cousin died from an overdose a year before he actually did. So, when she told me the news, I replied, yeah, from an overdose, right? She was shocked that I already knew. I thought she was messing with me until she showed me the date of his death. I still can't explain that one. 4. In 1984, my father went out to get cigarettes and was never seen again.
Here's a look at 10 truly bizarre glitches and paranormal experiences that have left people questioning the fabric of reality. Let's get weird. I remember once waiting in line for the bathroom. This girl got in before it was my turn. I waited 10 minutes, bladder feeling like it was going to burst. I knocked several times to ask if she was okay. No answer. Then the same girl just started waiting behind me. I bought a big tin of coffee, opened it, and poured about a third into another container I keep next to the kettle. When putting the tin away in the cupboard above, it slipped from my hands and landed upside down on the counter. I picked it up, turned it over, opened it, and it was 100% full again. Went to the bathroom at work, used the middle stall, the other two were occupied, and I would never choose the middle stall unless it was my only choice. After I finished, I somehow walked out of the third stall. When I was younger, I would walk to the school bus every morning and always pass a woman who appeared to be around 45 years old. I can't clearly recall how she was introduced in conversation with my mom and me, but she mentioned that she had once lived in the neighborhood, only to add that she had passed away years ago, making it impossible for me to have seen her every day. I'm still confused by how this could have happened. Could have sworn I saw reality have a frame rate issue today. I was out driving my delivery route for work, like usual, minding my business, and I could have sworn I saw reality drop a couple frames. Like, you know, when you're playing a PC game and it lags a little, that's exactly what I saw. Like the road just jumped a little and continued on like normal. I've never seen anything like this before except in an actual PC game. I was seeing a play once and my field of vision zoomed in for a second. All the actors and the stage, etc. got bigger, literally as if I'd zoomed in on a photo and then went back to normal. It's never happening again, and I can't seem to find anything about any type of symptoms for it either. I had this weird experience the other day where I swear I saw the same person twice in two completely different places, like within minutes of each other. I was in a store, looked at someone, and then later walked past them at the gas station. Same clothes, same face. Almost like I was seeing them in a parallel timeline. Anyone else had something like this happen? A glitch that made you question if we're all just living in some kind of simulation? The world sped up for 2 seconds. I was driving and approaching a very busy four-way stop. Suddenly, all the cars sped up from the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit to what seemed about 60 miles per hour or so. The music playing on my radio also sped up so fast it was just that high-pitched squeaky sound you get when something is sped up. It only happened for 2, maybe 3 seconds, and then everything was fine again. I don't know if this is a glitch, but back in 2024, I lost a picture that was mailed to me. A couple minutes ago, I was just watching TikTok in my bed when out of nowhere it appeared and landed on my foot. I looked around and there's nowhere it could have came from. And number 10. I hate to say this, but I almost jumped a few days ago. I closed my eyes and screamed for someone to help me jump because I didn't have the strength to. I opened my eyes and I was sitting on my couch. How do you explain these? First of all, number 10, something definitely saved you. But for all the other ones, our reality is very confusing.
Let me tell y'all a true story. Piece of boom. Watch this video to the end. Horses glitching in the Matrix. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go.
Okay, actively raining. My horses are frozen in time. Is this a glitch in the Matrix?
Why aren't they moving? Shh. Shut up! It's not a game. Look at them.
There is shelter. There is shelter.
Why didn't they go in there? What's going on with those horses? Come on.
They're frozen.
How? How cold is it out there?
This is so weird, you guys. It's so weird. I mean, look, ghosts are smart over there.
For real. What's the temperature?
It's happening.
It's not a game.
No one is moving.
No. Go check them out.
What?
Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what was going on with those horses, but it just happened to me. But I don't know, maybe that was a movie scene or that was special effects that they did where made the camera stay still because nobody was moving, the horses wasn't moving. Maybe they were just staring at the sun, catching a tan, or maybe there was other animals that they were looking at. Shut up! What is going on here, guys? Why did all those horses stop? Why didn't they track? They didn't even move. Mind you guys, it was raining outside. And there was shelter for them to stay under there to get dry. The goats went, but they didn't go. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game on here, guys. You see what's going on. Shut up! What you doing? It was just people freezing? Not anymore, guys. Remember? I showed you that video with the cats freezing. Now we got horses too. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game on here, guys. You see what's going on in these streets. You better get ready. Shut up! You ever seen it before? I was driving on the highway. I looked, there was farms. Animals weren't even moving. So I thought because the car was moving, they weren't moving. But when I stopped, they weren't moving. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game on here, guys, and I'm just playing around because animals always move because they're alive. Shut up! But I tell you one thing, if I ever see a farm full of animals and none of those animals are moving, I'm gonna do the same thing they doing to see the results.
Why he kept telling me to shut up? I wasn't even talking. I mean, I don't know. I've seen the other one where the chickens weren't moving. Some people in my comments said the video was fake. Some people said the chicken saw a predator, so that's why I wasn't moving. I couldn't tell you, dude.
I could not tell you. Or maybe it's just a glitch in the Matrix.
I think I saw my grandma one time after she died. This is my grandma Susan. She died June 22nd of 2022. You can see she was very specific looking. She wasn't your typical grandma. She most often in her later years of life had pink hair, specifically this color, because she was a breast cancer survivor and pink was just her token favorite color. She drove a pink car for years and years and years. Everything around her house, like pink was her color. Pink and purple were her colors. So most often in her later years of life, if you saw her, she was rocking pink hair. This was the vehicle that she drove after she got rid of that pink car. She drove this the last, I don't really know, five years of her life, maybe. For reference, here's where she says, I found an old comment on a post that she made about this car that she drives a blue Ford Focus just for proof. I saw this woman outside of Walmart on October 19th, 2022, and I was so stunned by it that I had to stop and take a picture of it. Blue Ford Focus. Woman with pink hair. We live in a small area. I don't know any other women that have ever colored their hair the way that she does. Here's a closer picture of that encounter for reference. So take note of her stature. Also let it be known that this is definitely something that she would have worn. Here's another photo that I took. I just happened to be leaving Walmart and driving by. And when I saw this woman, so I actually just took these pictures from my vehicle. I didn't get out and like speak to her just because, you know, in my head, she was just a stranger. Like, it was just a crazy coincidence. But, like, as time goes on, the more I'm like, this is just bizarre. Here you can kind of see how my grandma had similar stature to the lady in those photos. Here's another picture referencing her pink hair. And another picture just showing that stature. You can kind of see her pink hair and those glasses peeking out. So yeah, all in all, I don't really know what to think of this. I know that it could just be a coincidence, but again, we live in a very small area. The chances that another elderly woman had the same exact hair color, stature, glasses, outfit, and vehicle, it's literally the exact same vehicle. It's just so bizarre to me, and I don't know what to quite make of it. So let me know what you think. I don't know, like, it sounds crazy if I, like, happen to cross paths with her in another timeline. I don't know. So bizarre. And I never actually directly saw the woman's face at the Walmart that I saw her at, because she was walking away from me, and I was a little bit too stunned to, like, really take a further look. But I don't know. I just needed to share with someone because it is so, so crazy to me.
This true story is so simple and so creepy. On June 21st, 2009, a 16-year-old wakes up to an empty house around 11 a.m. He heads downstairs, grabs a snack, and goes to the basement and plans on watching TV for the next few hours until he meets his friend around 3. About 30 minutes later, his mom comes downstairs and asks him, "Where have you been all day?" Confused, he says, "I've only been up for like 30 minutes. And then he looks at his phone, and it's after 7 o'clock at night. There's dozens of missed calls and several text messages from his friend and his mom asking, "Where are you?" He tells his mom that none of this makes any sense, but what she tells him is even worse. She said that she was there all day and saw him go into the basement at 11, but after that, he was gone all day. So for one day in the summer of 2009, this kid didn't exist.
Dude, that must have been so trippy. Like, imagine being that kid. You're probably just like, there's no way, dude. There's no way. That's just had to be a glitch in the Matrix.